Morning, Rant. Good morning. You know what? I woke up, the first thing I thought about, which is really interesting, and I think I know why. I think I know why. Because I get up, crank a little music, get rolling. You know what I mean? And when I was younger, probably around about 16 or something, I had a band. And we were pretty cool, but terrible, but cool. And anyways, I pitched a song to my bass player at the time, and it was kind of a rip off of a Misfits song, at least in my head, and then I switched it around or whatever I did, But I listened to the Misfits every day when I was a kid. That is a fact. But anyways, I pitched this song, and I even remember the song name. I remember the song. I remember the pitch. And the song name was called Jolly Man because of the homeless guy that lived around the corner at the park. And he was always jolly. So I thought I'd try to write something. I didn't really have the pitching skills, to pitch it to the band, or the really the writing skills to. I just kind of had a little hook in my head, and I wanted to sing it to him. And that motherfucker laughed at me. He laughed. He was like, "That is the dumbest thing I've ever heard of." And then he proceeded to bust my balls for the rest of the day for it, which is kind of why I like him. We haven't spoken a long time. I'm sure he's doing well. He's a good dude. But he busted my balls. But it's funny that kind of stuck with me. Like I woke up with it. Isn't that weird? Isn't that interesting? Like you remember those little things, Which you should never really shoot down anybody's tune. Like if you're in a band with somebody, work it out. Maybe it's awesome. Work it out. You know what I mean? The guys in Guns N' Roses didn't like Paradise City. And look at that song. But yeah, I mean, creativity, creatives need to just work it out. And if it sucks, you dump it. I mean, that's just the way it goes. But it's weird. I mean, it's not like it was his fault. I enjoy ball busting. I'll bust my guys' balls. They bust my balls. It's fine. But there's something about that one that stuck with me. Plus, I was in my teens, so I guess I didn't know how to deal with, I laughed it off and everything, but I got to be honest, it kind of hurt because I was all excited about this song that I wrote that was kind of a rip off of a Misfits melody, I guess. So, but then it brought me into other things that where people shoot down your ideas or shoot down your dreams or something like that, And I dated a girl a long time ago, which also I think was in my teens, maybe later on at 19 or something. And I remember saying that I had an idea for my first album I was gonna make. I had an idea. I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna put this little soundtrack at the beginning of my first album. And she goes, you're not gonna make an album. Now I think at that time, being in a band and making records, you had to really be signed and you had to really, nowadays everybody could just make it in their bedroom, but back then, you had to come up with some cash or you had to get signed. Someone had to front you for the because you're recording on tape, So, but anyways, it's interesting because she laughed at me and said I would never make an album. Interestingly enough, I've made hundreds of albums, other artists' albums, my albums. I've recorded lots of songs, hundreds of them. So it's interesting how wrong she was. Now, she wasn't a bitch. She wasn't mean to me. I think that was just a far-fetched dream that she couldn't imagine anybody doing at that time. I also really wanted to play at the whiskey. I wanted to play at the whiskey when I was younger. And she laughed at that one too. So anything musical that all my little dreams, she kind of busted my balls about. And turns out I did play the whiskey a few times, and the whiskey sucks. The whiskey, not necessarily for the band so much, but for the people going, like they really, So the whiskey wasn't all I thought it was going to be. But nonetheless, still played the whiskey, still made hundreds of albums. So she was very incorrect, you know. But it's not her fault. That just seemed like something that was on TV. That's something that in the Long Beach area as a kid in the 90s, that was not, you had to be Nirvana or Alice in Chains or Dr. Dre or whatever to actually make albums. You weren't a kid from the streets, So it's very interesting. The shooting down of dreams is really weird. That's a weird move, Like it is a weird move. I don't know if I've ever done that to anybody. I may have and not known it, but I've never ever done that. It's always, why shoot it down, especially if somebody is so driven. Like I guess you shoot it down when they're just lazy asses and they don't do shit. They never try anything or do anything, and so that's interesting. But if someone's really driven, it's kind of shitty to shoot them down, and there's been a lot of that. I've seen a lot of that in my life. Not even with me so much. A lot of times, I mean, there's been plenty of people talking shit and shooting at me down throughout the years. That's for sure. But it's interesting when you see a friend's girlfriend laugh at his little dream or laugh at some things, and it's interesting. It's interesting. Then there's these backhanded things that I think some of these angry girls and guys, but let's just talk about the angry girls for a moment, the girlfriends, where they'll kind of go, I did a show and had a girlfriend, another band's girlfriend, tell me you are much better than all the other bands in here. Like she said it, kind of in a she was drunk and everything, and but it's interesting to say that when you're the girlfriend of the band that was on before us. That's interesting. I'd be pissed if my girl said that. Like that. I'd just be. But I think there's a little bit of jealousy in there. I think there's a little bit of upset at her own life that maybe she never got to get on stage or whatever. However that works. There's a lot of that. There's a lot of jealousy in all of us. What's the difference between jealousy and competitiveness? I don't know. I'm very competitive, or maybe I'm not. Who knows? But I guess sometimes I'll find myself getting a little jealous. Like there's some movies that I've gone out for, or some shows that I've gone out for and didn't get it. Someone else got it, and I can't watch it now. I can't watch it. I'm just so pissed that I didn't get it. I didn't get it, and that fucking lame got it. But he was better than me, or they didn't like the audition that I gave. Whatever, that's okay. You got to move on and got to get better. But yeah, that's such a weird. It's a weird move. It's a weird move to shoot down somebody's dreams. Like why would you do that? I think we're all a little guilty of maybe at least doing that in your head, where you just kind of laugh at something. But like I imagine parents do that all the time. Just like, oh, great, my son wants to be a professional gamer. Shit. Because I understand where parents are coming from, because kids are making money at that shit. They are doing it. They're actually making money. But if they don't make money, they've burnt a big portion of their life or childhood playing these fucking useless games that don't do shit for you. Now maybe a little eye-hand coordination, a little strategy. I think that's good. That's probably good for the brain. But I imagine it's like a waste of time, And I guess so could be a musician, really. If a musician, artist, whatever, especially if you're a parent and you're like, oh, my kid's got no skills. But how do you tell them? How do you be like, look, you suck. Maybe it's time to go into something different. Like my shitty school never did anything like that. These career programs, we never had any of that bullshit because they probably thought that none of us would actually have a career. But like, like why don't more schools have these things where they literally go to every child and be like, what do you want to be? What do you want to do when you grow up? And maybe not only ask the parent also. Ask the parent, goes, what do you think your kid wants to do? And see if they match up. Whether they do or don't, it doesn't matter. But you go, okay, so one kid says, look, I want to be a professional basketball player. And you're a short little white kid. And you go, well, that may not happen. But here's other careers that can go into basketball. Agents, managers, stadium execs, whatever that can go into sports. You don't have to actually be, I want to be the next Shaq, but you're 5'4". Okay, that won't happen. You're not going to be the next Shaq, but you could work in basketball. Why don't schools do that? That's so stupid. You know why? Because here's why, motherfucker. Here's why. There's a few things. A lot of teachers are so upset that they're teachers. They're teachers because they couldn't do. A lot of times and a lot of not. But they're also upset because they have to work within the system, the shitty system that the school system gives them. And the pay is garbage. Now, they get summers off, so that's let's be honest. That's a big one. But the pay isn't really that good. Like, what if teachers made a killing? What if teachers made a lot of money? They would be badass teachers, better education, kids would be killing it. Kids wouldn't be trying to have these useless ass protests. Nah, they'd be busy trying to make a career in what they're passionate about. Passion. Like it almost feels like we're trying to get rid of passion and drive. It almost feels like that. And you can be anything you want. That's not true. That is not true. You could be anything you want within reason. But it's not real. Like, I want to be a professional football player. Won't happen. That'll never, ever happen in my life. It wouldn't have happened when I was younger. There's no way. So it's really interesting, especially like, hey, I want to be a musician. Now, am I making a ton of cash at it? No. My producer, I am. Am I making a ton of cash at it? Not at the moment. But look, I am. I think those are things that are possible. But I want to be a professional skateboarder. Never happen. That'll never, ever happen. Even though I was a badass skateboarder when I was younger. And then once those wheels got smaller, I guess I fucked up. But so it's interesting. It's interesting to shoot down dreams of any type, though. But I think there's a way to give alternatives. If you know your kid is just not gonna cut it, But it's weird to shoot down the dreams, and a lot of times it's shot down because of insecurities by the person shooting it down, the parent, the friend, the girlfriend. I mean, girlfriends are dream killers. They are. Not all, but most. They really are. And whose fault is it, guys? It's your fault. It's your fault that they're dream killers because you're allowing it. Don't allow the dream killer. Same with women. Don't allow it. The problem is you allow it. That's the problem with both parties. Don't allow nonsense. Don't allow bullshit. Especially if you love your spouse. Don't let them get away with bullshit. Don't let them get away with anything. Just like a friend. When your friend's spouting off some bullshit, and then you got spouting off bullshit like they lost weight or they're telling you about some fake ass fight they had, whatever, and you go, no, you didn't. No, you didn't. Man the fuck up. No, you didn't. That's a real friend. To call you on that bullshit so you don't live that life of going through life thinking this is bullshit. A lot of people believe the lies the lies that they're given, that they've made up in their own head. They believe their own little fucking lies. You know, I lost 12 pounds. No, you didn't. You look fatter than ever. You didn't lose it. Nope. Yeah, I knocked this dude out with one punch. No, you didn't. No, you didn't. Now, maybe you did, because that does happen. But I've heard a lot of those, like coworkers. I've had some coworkers when I was working day jobs. They tell me about, so people love to tell me about their fights and shit. Maybe because I love fight stories, but they love to tell me about their fights and the little speech they give, you know, the little superhero type speech they give before they knock this dude out. Like, these are lies that people make up in their head, and it's funny. And I'll either fuck with them, let them keep the story going, or I'll just go, nope, didn't happen. Or if I don't care about you that much, I'll just let you say it and then never fucking talk to you again, you know. But those are weird concepts. But it's odd that I was thinking about that song that I wrote a long time ago that got shot down by my band member there. And it's funny how it pops up in my head, and I can remember it clear as day. I can remember it. It's weird. And then it brings me back to other little things, you know? Other little things. One last one was I had this girlfriend who was definitely angry all the time, but I just I recorded a demo for my band. My band shot down back in the day. And I recorded a demo, and she came and picked me up, and I popped it in her car and was fucking playing it. I was so excited about it. The bitch fucking turned it off. Like it was that bad that she couldn't stomach a 3.5 minute song. And I know the song. That's not a bad tune. It's not a bad tune. In fact, a lot of people liked it. But it's funny. Like, I think she had to shoot it down because I was so pumped. I was so pumped on it, and I was so excited, and that I felt like we were doing stuff. And I think she felt like she wasn't doing stuff and maybe getting left out. And she had to she turned it off. She turned it off in her car. I'm like, the hell? She's like, I don't want to hear it anymore. Like, oh my God. Even if it was terrible, which it is not. To this day, I can tell you, it's definitely listenable. Even if you don't like punk rock music, rock and roll, even if you don't like rock and roll, it's not a bad tune. Especially if your boyfriend just got out the studio and wants to play you this tune. That's cool, right? I guess. But man, talk about an angry bitch. Fuck. What a way to live your life. I think as far as I know, she's definitely probably even more angry these days. But you know, it's sad. It's sad because you know where that's coming from. And I know where it's coming from too. Like if I have that in my brain, a lot of times I don't show it. If I have a little jealousy or a little insecurity or something, because over the years I've caught it. And I think what I think is doing podcasts and being with bands and being with my friends all the time, like you're able to talk things out and work shit out. You know, so I think you start to figure out some things, your insecurities in your head. You start to figure out where you're not being fair. You start to figure out what are alcohol induced. I've had some alcohol induced arguments, that's for sure. And even when I'm drunk, I'll catch a time when I'm starting to get a little heated, and if I was sober, I probably wouldn't be getting that heated. I'm able to catch that now. So I think. You know, I've told friends this before. I go, if you're getting a little depressed, things are starting to get a little fucked up. You know, I've given this is writing. Writing helps a lot. And I've heard this, like, I'm not a songwriter. No, I know you're not a songwriter, but just write. Who gives a fuck if your penmanship is terrible or penmanship? See, typing. You probably type now, but write it out. Make a little book, maybe. That definitely helps, man. I write songs, and that helps me big time, big time. I have so many songs or verses and shit that's never seen the light of day. But a lot of it is just because I was kind of inspired at the time and wrote it down. And I feel good. Makes you feel good at the end. It's interesting. So like, I implore any of you to. Did I just say implore? Is that a fucking word? Hold on a sec, guys. I'm sorry. I said a word that I don't even know what it means. That's so fucking dumb. Implore? I was going to say I implore you? Employ you? Like I encourage is what I meant to say. I encourage you to do these things. But implore you. Okay, let's see. Did I actually use it fucking right? Oh my God, I did. That's hilarious. So I used a word that I must have heard it somewhere. Implore, which means to beg someone earnestly or desperately to do something, which is exactly what I meant. That was exactly what I meant. So I used it correctly. But my brain didn't remember the word. That's really fucking weird. But so I implore you. Boom. I learned something there. I learned something, I guess, that I already knew. But I'm glad I looked that up. But yeah, I implore you to write. Not a novel. Who cares if it sees the light of day, but write. And I guarantee that fucking helps your day, man. It helps something, especially if you're all pissed off. Don't use substances, although I don't knock drugs at all. But instead of trying to leave reality, write it down, see what happens. You know what I mean? I'm finding that helps too. So anyways, guys, I'm out. Episode number 9. Cheers.